new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
It.
What's up, GA?
And we are live.
Hey,
Yay.
it works.
Yes.
Does it work everywhere?
Is it working? I'm not seeing it on LinkedIn yet. Are we live on LinkedIn? Or have they gotten us again? Oh, okay. Yes, we are now live.
It's not
on
on
LinkedIn.
TikTok, just so you know.
Oh God, no! Let's not do TikTok today, okay? We are finally live. So, hi
Yay.
everyone. Welcome to another conversation surrounding menopause, where we'll be talking about finding finding joy in relationships, not finding relationships, finding joy in our current relationships. And we have our wonderful guest speaker here today, Linda. So let me pass the mic to give everyone a minute to introduce themselves to the few people who may not know us in the audience, and then we'll get the conversation started. So Linda, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Hi, Paulette, Annie, and everyone in the audience. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited and I'm passionate about the message that of the work that I do. I am a healing and recovery coach for survivors of narcissistic and emotional abuse. I'm also branching out into addressing workplace conflict that includes the symptoms of narcissistic abuse in ways that it can affect productivity, absenteeism, unhealthy workplace boundaries. And by that, I mean over-pleasing, over-explaining ourselves, working too hard to reach and gain approval, which leads to resentments and burnouts, and which may lead to other areas in our life as well, in the family home and the relationship. And we're trying to stop all that to prevent it from leading to maybe job loss or other addictions that may come on the surface. And so my goal is to address the symptoms before they become more impactful. Not that they are non-impactful right now, but they are. And so, and also for today, bringing back joy into those who are affected by menopause, because the symptoms do appear strongly, I believe. I'm experiencing it as well. And
Michelle's just
that's what we'll discuss today.
Yeah, and it looks like my computer is experiencing menopause today because I'm seeing myself frozen. So let me leave the room and come back in. Paulette, you can take it away.
But we can hear you, thank goodness. So
Yes,
you take the risk. Either you turn it off and restart, or you can take the risk that you're going to be frozen, but we can hear you.
Yeah.
Miss Paulette, once Lisa decides what to do with the computer, I'm going to pause the computer.
Okay, she's gone. Did I fly off as well? Because I flew
Yes.
in.
He's disappeared. It's not fly off. He just went dark. There was no Paulette. But you're back now. It's all right.
Hello, I'm back. I haven't been on a very good trip. I'm a bit raspy, so I do apologise. A bit too much talking today. But yeah, no, Paulette Hallam, everybody knows me anyway. And if they don't know me, they probably haven't been around for a while. So yeah, I'm really here just to kind of add to the conversation, really. Lisa likes me to be here just to make up the numbers, because 2 against 1 always is much fairer against any. So we just like to have those ratios. And today we're going 3 against 1, so it's much more on how we like it. So there you go. Yeah, no, we're really here to talk about making ourselves happier, and however we can do that. You know, when things are tough, when the chips are down, as they say, it's very hard for some people to get up again. And other people can just bounce. And you look at these people, you go, how do they do it? How do they bounce? and they bounce back outside externally, they bounce back in the office, they bounce back at the office and in this happy persona they give, but back home they fall apart. So we have to make sure that what is going on at home and what is going on at the office is the same, because sometimes we have a habit of masking how we really feel. And I think that is a real important part of this conversation today, is making sure that we are honest first and foremost with ourselves. And that's me done, really. Over to you, Annie.
Yes. I can't see Lisa yet, I don't think. No, not yet.
She'll be back.
Yeah, of course she will. Look, let me welcome Rob. Thank you for joining us. And say, Stacy, good to see you again. Glad you're here. And I don't know, that weird bloke that no one knows says, "Hey, Linda, great to have you here." Obviously, no, I don't know who that bloke in YouTube is.
Thank you.
I'll never guess, right? No, and Stacey's, I'll say, me too. I don't know what I think. I don't know. No, it's something you said.
Part of the Stacey fan club.
Yes. No. If
Lindsay's
you want
part of
to
Linda's fan
elaborate,
club.
Stacey, I say, and of course, you're welcome to join the studio if you want to join the studio to share. So the link to join the studio is in the comments. Otherwise, just put here, send me the link, and I'll send you the link. So we'd love to hear from you, to hear your thoughts. For those who don't know me, I am Annie, and my company is Global.Media, and what I do is work with geniuses to bring them to the world. People who have unique solutions, I call it. I'm fortunate. All my four friends here, I get to work with because they have genius solutions, two, that they're authors. So, I'll help you write your book, publish your book, sell your book. Of course, do these events as well. I try and keep quiet, even though I have many thoughts, but I try and keep quiet because that's what let's say. I'm kind of outnumbered, but
Yes,
some days
but you
I'll
will
speak.
not be quiet today. Today is a
I don't know.
nice
I don't know.
topic.
I may well be. I may well be quiet today because I guess no. It's let me. I won't say anything. All right. I keep quiet. It's all right. When else I may say something.
Yes, I will ask you a question.
Let's welcome LinkedIn user. Thank you. Greetings from Germany. Thank you for allowing me to attend. Thank you for attending.
Yes,
Thank you for giving us
welcome.
your time. We appreciate every minute you give us. And of course, Josh is here as well. Josh says,
Yay.
Lisa, Paulette, Linda, only one room at the same time. Yes, we do, right? Look, if you're here and you haven't said, please make a comment, say hello, say hi, give us your thoughts on the topic, and that way we can see you and we'll welcome you properly. Right, that's me, Lisa. Now you're back.
Okay.
Please feel free.
Yes, now that the computer has allowed me back, and I'm not sure for how long because it's overheating again. But my name is Lisa Favek. I'm a dietitian, author, and coach for women's health issues, but my specialty is on perimenopause and menopause. And we have these conversations every other Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, because we still don't have enough information on it. We don't talk about certain topics concerning menopause. Certain things are still very taboo and hush hush. So we're bringing things to light, sharing education, sharing awareness, and giving both men and women a space where they can share, they can give their ideas, come on stage when we open up the stage for you all to come up and share if you have any solutions that work for you or if you have any questions. But let's get the conversation started before I get kicked out again. So today I wanted to talk about finding joy. So this whole month, something in me was just saying to talk about finding joy. I'm not sure for you all, but this month has been particularly challenging, and I have to remind myself that not to focus on the negative things. There's still a lot to be thankful for. So I think that's what is pushing me to talk more about finding joy in different situations. So today we're talking about finding it when our relationships aren't supporting us in the way they should be, or we think they should be, or if they failed altogether. And Linda, I've known for quite a while, and I've seen her go from being very quiet and staying in the audience to really coming forward and talking about relationships that don't support us and what we can do. So I wanted to find out first, of course, why this sudden, well, not maybe not sudden, but why this shift to share more articles, more newsletters on this topic. I'm enjoying what you're producing, but I wanted to know, and for the audience to know, why you feel compelled, maybe the right word, to share so much information with us on that topic.
Thank you, Lisa. That's a really good question. I speak from lived experience, first of all. Um, Going back to my childhood, there was no way that I could have explained what it was that I was going through. I just knew that something was not right, something was off. Why I'm speaking about it now, it's because the small seeds of pain and knowledge and healing has now overtaken everything else in my life. And from clarity we comes change. Clarity is painful because we come face to face with the pain and the challenges and the disappointments, but we can use that clarity to help us heal, because clarity is painful. People say, oh, good, now I get it now. Yes, but now comes the realization of what you went through and how it changed you. And now we need to pick up the pieces. So now in my healing journey, I'm finally emotionally and physically able to put all those pieces together. And when you find that your passion overtakes everything else, you know that it's time. You need to feel ready and secure and confident. And I still struggle with that. My voice still quivers because I still carry, but I'm proud of myself that I am doing it because it shows courage and resilience. And if we don't speak up, we suffer more, and the other wins. And we can't allow that. And so, why am I putting all of this in my newsletters? Because I've experienced it myself. I look up facts and figures, of course, but the message is mine, the pain is mine, the healing is mine, the compassion and the support that I give is authentic. And that's what my new mission in life is now. And also, if I may branch out and mention something else, for the last year or so, I've been volunteering at local high schools in my area, where we're invited to share our knowledge about emotional wellness and career choices with high school students. And I find that very rewarding to address it to a young audience. And the message behind that is not my quote. I'm repeating someone else's quote. It's okay not to be okay. And so we're using that message to address the younger audience, to let them know that there is a lot of pressure out there. Once you go through the high school doors for the last time, it's a new message, it's a new milestone, and we're trying to alleviate the amount of stress and pressure that they may be faced with and the challenges, and that it's okay to reach out. If it's not a friend, if it's not a parent, because of whatever reason that stops you, that's okay. Reach out to someone else. We're there to help you. And I also experienced that as well, firsthand. All of these challenges that they've been faced with, or that they continue to face, I experienced that as well. And I bring my own personal message to my coaching.
And I think when I saw those posts of you going into high schools and sharing that, I think that really impressed me. And I was impressed by the school as well, having that foresight to say, okay, we always talk about why aren't men more emotional or able to share is because we haven't taught them that. And many young people now hold so much in and don't share with their parents what they're going through, if they're being bullied or whatever it is in school. And because we don't teach them or give them the tools how to do that. So I'm really impressed by your work, but also that the schools have that foresight to say, okay, look, this is important enough
Yes.
to have someone come in and share, and the message will reach to someone, maybe not now, but when they really need it, they will have the tools to tap in. So I'm really, really was impressed by that. And I'm impressed by your journey as well, that because I've known you for a while, you've always been a supporter of the show, but to see you really stepping forward in your passion and your purpose, I think more women need to do that, and is a great example. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Paulette, you wanted to share something? I saw you nodding your head along.
Yeah, I'm like those dogs in the back of a
Yeah.
car. Yeah, no, absolutely. Everything that Linda said, 100% agree with. But there's also, we don't teach anybody, not just boys or men. We don't teach anyone emotional intelligence. We don't teach anybody about what goes on and how you feel and what to do with those emotions and how to feel about those emotions. We just expect that women will handle them one way and guys will handle them another. It's a kind of expectation. And the expectation is the guys will shut themselves down and just kind of hold it all in. And that's because that's what they've been sort of seen. They monkey see, monkey do. That's what they've seen the previous male generation do. So they wouldn't dream of letting it all out. And the women are trying to be stoic. That's the word that I always use, stoicism. It's like, I have to be strong for the family, I have to be strong for this one. There's always somebody you have to be strong for in your mind, even though actually the person you need to be strong for is yourself. But by letting out your emotions, it's far more honest and genuine, and far more it gives far more self-awareness if you let those emotions out. The more you hold them in, the more destructive they become, because they
Yes.
sit in that subconscious mind of the negative narrative, and they just spend their whole life just throwing rubbish at you all the time. And the thing about high schools, and in our case we call them senior schools, they have 1 hour a week of PHSE, which is considered to be enough of a lesson that you can learn about everything you need to learn about, that's not maths, English, science, whatever. So you got 1 hour a week and that's it. In that 1 hour there really is I think it covers like religion, it covers ethics, I think it covers philosophy, I think it covers history. No, history, it would be what was it, philosophy, maybe health, I don't know. But there's some, it's like one of four topics, and none of them say life skills, none of them say emotions, none of them say how to treat people, none of them say how to get on with people, how to communicate. And that's really what everything boils down to. If we don't teach communication, it doesn't mean, it means that how do they get a job, how do they present themselves at an interview, how do they present themselves when they have to do a presentation, how do they show up, how do they appear to their colleagues and their the people around them. If they're an arrogant what's it because they think they're clever or they're good, how does that come across to other people? Do people go, oh, he's an arrogant what's it, we'll stay away from him? And actually, he's not an arrogant what's it. He just didn't know that that's how he came over, because nobody told him that. You know, um, I worked with a guy. He looked like a model. He was just like the god of men. He just walked like a model. He acted like a model. He had the swagger of John Travolta. He really did. And when I employed him, I swear to God, I swore I would never take him on. When I saw his CV photo was him on the beach, right? And he had a pair of swimming trunks, not trunks, but swimming shorts on. and he said it was the only photo he had that could get in by the date that he had available, so he just attached it because he was on holiday. And I was like, well, it's the first time I've ever had a photograph of a guy on the beach, but you know what, should I hold that against him? Maybe not. And there was a little apology note on the photo saying, sorry, only photo I had available. And I was thinking, really, are you sure about that? Anyway, he came and he had all the arrogance, all the confidence, all the gifts of the gab with all the girls. He had it all, and he irritated the heck out of me. I employed him; he was great at his job, but the arrogance and the conceitedness and the constant big me up, big me up. So I got my dad to phone up and pretend that he was phoning from a model agency, and that they had they'd seen him and that they wanted to employ him, and that and everybody was outside, and we were all on the like the speaker phones outside in the room, and he went into the private office in the boardroom to take the call, and he didn't know that we were all listening to the call outside. And you can imagine, can't you, the last thing that my dad said to him was and so Matt, you think you're a bit of a hotshot, don't you? And he was like, maybe. And he said, well, I've got some news for you. He said, you've been set up by Paulette, and the whole office outside are listening. And I'm not from a modelling agency. This was just a message to say, just calm down, mate, because you're getting a little bit too big for your boots. And oh my gosh, he wouldn't come out of the boardroom, he wouldn't leave. And we were like, when he came out, we all cheered, and we made it into laughing, joking. It wasn't nasty, it wasn't meant to be evil or wicked. It was meant to go, mate, sort yourself out or you'll be out the door. It was that kind of a message without being nasty. And he walked over to me and went, I'll get you back. And I went, I have no doubt about it, pal. I have no doubt. But for the
Yeah, but
moment,
this is where England is so different to the US because
yeah,
I don't know if
we'll
that
probably
plays
get
the
sued.
same way
Yeah, we'll
in
probably
the
get
US.
sued for doing that. But the thing is, with our humor as well, is that we would play tricks on each other.
Yeah.
That's the kind of environment we worked in. And it was a trading environment, so it's very, very pressurized. So you need those moments of hilarity and silliness. And he, after that, was the best team player ever. It was really
Okay.
strange. It was like somebody went, oh, okay, so a 9 is a bit too much. I'll turn it down to a 6. And now I'm like, everyone loves me. It was like, oh, we love Matt
Different
now,
story.
Yeah. See? So
Interesting.
sometimes it's like if you've not been shown and you're not been taught, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know how to behave? It's
I
an
just
interesting thought.
no, I just wanted to go to some of the comments before we continue the conversation. And yeah, I'm not sure if you're seeing all of them. Oh God, I know the sun.
See many of them.
Yeah.
I say Rob says, it's about EQ, emotional intelligence being greater than, I guess, normal intelligence. I think that's what I take from that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say, where are we? So Rob said, Linda is dope, love the vulnerability and authenticity.
Dope. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So welcome, Rosemary. I don't know whether you say your name together. It's my wife's Marie Louise. I'm kind of used to saying two names together, especially when there's Marie somewhere in there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
I've met with Rob. I've met with
You
Rob,
have?
and
Okay.
he's amazing.
That's
He's
why
funny.
it's saying such good things about you. See, they're genuine. You say
Very nice.
genuine, Rob. We like you. We like you. So Dr. Roxanne is here as well. Happy Tuesday to you, Professor.
Hi,
Glad you're here.
Professor.
Who else do I see? There's many more people. We're gonna
Yeah,
be a
so
while.
if you're in the audience, please leave a comment so we know that you're here. Otherwise, we can't see you.
I thought a thought for you, Linda, or what, and what everyone, and everyone on stage. Is, as Rob says, how much of this is nature versus nurture? Are we
regarding
raised
confidence.
to be, or do we learn to be? So regarding confidence, specifically for women, I have two twins and a wife. Yeah. Good luck, my friend. Good luck. That's what I
I would
said.
say it's a little bit of both, but it also depends on the conditioning that the child has received in the home, whether the confidence is welcomed or if it's seen as a threat, depending on the parents. If the parents are well balanced and well adjusted, they will regard your confidence as a positive. If they're feeling okay with themselves, they'll see the child's confidence blooming and they'll welcome it, they'll embrace it, they'll guide it, they'll be there to watch it develop. And like Paulette said, if it becomes too cocky, they'll have a discussion and say, tone it down a little bit. On the other hand, what I've experienced, if the parents are not well adjusted here, the child's confidence will be seen as a threat and it will be discouraged, it will be punished, it will be extinguished. And the child learns to shut themselves down, to make themselves smaller, to survive. And it becomes a conditioning as well. They don't just carry this message in the home, they also carry it when they're out with their friends and in the school and relationships later on. Um, with the proper supports and networking of friends, it can change. We're hoping that, and healing is possible. That's my bottom message. Healing is possible. What helped with me with my confidence, I always knew that I had confidence. I was taught to remain silent because it wasn't safe to speak up. There were some kind of consequences that came out, and I experienced verbal abuse, condescending, shame, mockery. I also experienced physical harm. Those were memorable. Um, and I continued to carry that quietness with me because it felt safer. And people thought, I can't say what they thought, but it was projected as me being shy, perhaps, and quiet. I never had anything to say. And maybe some perceived me as appearing cold and detached, but I learned I was not cold or detached. I learned to shut myself up because it wasn't welcome to speak up. But going back to nature and nurture, I would say it's a little bit of both, depending also on the environment that the child grows up in. I think that's also uh, that's the starting point. It's either welcomed and embraced and enjoyed and celebrated, or it's shut down, and we end up carrying that for decades until we realize that we always did have a voice and it is safe to speak up. It is safe to express ourselves, our opinions, and our needs, especially our successes and our hardships. None of those were ever welcomed in my home. I became a tool to regulate the parent, and that was the sole purpose of my existence. Not that I lacked confidence, but I was never given the chance to develop it and to see where it led me, because I would have definitely chosen a different career path many decades ago if I had recognized that I had uh, inner and innate ability to be confident, because now I'm reliving my life from this point on. And earlier to what Lisa said, asked, why am I speaking now? Why am I sharing all my message now in my newsletters? When you feel that everything is becoming more balanced inside you and more regulated. You feel good and you feel that the moment is now. You do the homework, you do the research, you do the therapy, you do the counseling, and you finally discover yourself with a lot of ups and downs. The days are not equal every day, but
Mm,
you find that sweet spot where you feel good about failing and you feel good about making a misstep.
mm,
And so, going back to confidence, thank you, Rob, for your question. I hope I answered it.
mm. I usually found that parents who create that sort of negative space is because they themselves went through some sort of trauma with their
Yes,
parents, and they
yes,
didn't get the tools to help them realize, okay, maybe this is not the way I should parent my children. So they just pass it along, right? But
yes,
thankfully, you have stopped that pattern, because I know you're not like that with your children from all the stories you've given to me. So, at least in your case, thankfully, and now that you can share the message with other people so that they can realize, okay, maybe I need to work on some aspect of myself. Maybe this is something I shouldn't pass on to my children. It's not the right way to teach, to do. So I'm really enjoying that, you're sharing with us. And thanks, Rob, for that question. And I saw that you had another question, so I'll answer it in a bit. But I'm seeing Uncle Jay on stage. I haven't seen you in so long.
Welcome,
Hi.
welcome. Yeah, so of course, now Stacey said great point, Linda. I mean, she was saying earlier that she agrees with you. In an interesting topic, something to look forward to. So I'm glad Stacey's here now. Brenda Lee's Coach Brenda Lee is the coach who does everything.
Yes.
Literally every method of, I guess, resetting our mind. She's got an NLP, mindset, and everything else, hypnosis as well. Amongst all that. Ema, how you doing? Great to see you. Christy, Super Christy. See what I met yesterday, Monday.
Yes. I'm enjoying Christy's posts as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's
Christy,
giving some good
Christy,
information.
she's gonna go big. She plans on doing more events and being more visible. As Linda and I were talking about being visible earlier, where people actually do see you, right?
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I am looking forward to that.
yeah. And there's a book. There's a couple of books in Christie, so that excites me a bit more.
Oh, very
Yes,
good.
yes, yes, yes. I'll give it back to you, Lisa. Sharing is healing. Let me leave it with that one. So, where do you want to go next, Lisa? Should we
Well,
talk
you
about
brought Jay on stage, so I may as well go there. What do
Yeah,
you want to share
let's
with
talk to
us?
Uncle Jay. Uncle Jay,
Yeah,
how
we
you
haven't
doing? What
seen you
brings
in
you
a
on
while.
stage?
Yeah.
Well, we're talking a little bit about parenting and, um, you know, making sure that we kind of break the cycle is what I'm getting of, things that happened in the past to us.
Well, we're really talking about finding joy when your relationship fails, right? So I
Well,
don't
I
want to
mean,
say too much, but
yeah,
yeah,
and then there's a little,
yeah.
but I think, I think there's a way to connect the two. Uh,
Yes, please. I know you're the storyteller, so I'm waiting for the connection.
so, you know, we look to our parents when we're young to see what type of relationships we should get into. We look to them as examples, right? Um, and I love my dad. He's a really different person than the man that I grew up with as a kid. Um, and I I always say, because my kids are like, Grandpa's the greatest, right? He's awesome. He's so funny. His jokes are so bad they're funny. That kind of, so that's how they know Grandpa. Um, he was a different man when I was growing up, and so I always credit my mom with raising me, and um, and my dad was still an example. He was a bad example, and so I used that to become a better person. And even at a young age of 8, and not even hitting double digits yet, my mom would talk to me like an 8-year old, but I would almost be a confidant, even at that young age, because she didn't have anybody. And so, God bless her, she's no longer with us. But these are the things that in our own home, we kind of already envision what relationships are going to look like in the future. And um, there's a couple of things that did change as I grew up and became an adult myself. You know, I always said, this is how I'm going to run my house. This is what's going to happen with my kids and blah, 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 because I already had this idea. And then you realize, oh, wait, there's another parent in the room. Yeah.
And she's female. She's female, that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions and stuff. It's not very tactile or utilitarian. There's feelings and stuff. Oh, that. And so it really is about learning. Everything we learn from our own family, our own, you know, upbringing, and then we take it into our relationships. And so that's what I wanted to share was like, you know, we see this happen first with our parents, you know, maybe some of their siblings too, right? And how those relationships between adults occur. And then we enter into those relationships. And a lot of relationships occur a lot quicker in in kids today because they have access to everything. I mean, everything as far as, you know, interacting with people, social media, right? By the mere fact of its name, it's social. But I think I just had this conversation with somebody. We're so social, we're alone, right? We can talk to somebody across, but when we go to the store, we can't communicate with one another. You know, and like, oh, excuse me, I'm going to grab this off the shelf. People are just shoving their way through things and not having any interaction, any and now meaningful interaction. So, and I'll end with this: the things have changed just in the last 10 years or so, and I'm going to say that what we did in the past socially to get to know one another. We went to the clubs, we went to social areas, the mall, places like that to meet people, you know, even as young kids. And now clubs aren't a thing. Like people don't want to go to clubs. Kids don't want to go to clubs. They go to vacations and experiences, cruises to meet people. I'm like, really? So there's ways we interact with one another is changing, and I think that's impacting people as they grow older as well, especially ones who maybe have lost a wife and now are looking for companionship again. The ways to interact with one another is different, and so especially us who are older, how do we get back into that? So
Yeah, you raised such good points there. Even with the shopping, people are using online shopping now, so we're not even interacting with people there. You know, the interaction is so little. I love what you talked about with your dad because even him being a bad example was still an example, and you learned from him. You learned what not to do, but it was still a learning experience. And it's good that you recognize that this isn't the way I want to do things and I am making a conscious decision to change things. And it goes to a comment I saw from Rob. He said, where did Annie go? Jeez. He said, thank you for your insight. I don't know WTF, I won't say what I'm doing. I just don't want to mess with our girls up. And I I think even saying that is really good, because you're having the mindset of, okay, I'm gonna try everything in my power to do the right thing. And being here having conversations like this, I saw earlier that you didn't know much about menopause, so you're in the right space. So if you're looking to learn more about menopause, please follow me. I post newsletters. I have this show every 2 weeks where we talk about some aspect of menopause. So just having that mindset that okay, I don't know enough about this, I need to learn more, I need to go seek out information. I think that's the right headspace to be in. And shows like these, we're lucky that on LinkedIn we have such a positive community. I'm seeing you're getting a good advice from like Stacy, she's given you. I mean, so this is, I think you're in the right spot. So please continue to follow us, show up for the shows, and continue learning with us. Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
So Coach Sean is here all the way from in Guatemala. Glad
Oh,
you're here.
okay. And he's back.
And I've always been here. I was pressing
Okay.
buttons, right? And
Okay.
also Josh says, giving Jay credit, for being
Mhm.
sincere. Look, they I shouldn't. I don't want to say it, but I might as well. Someone's got to say it. Might as well. I was hoping Jay was going to say it, but Jay's far too nice. Right. Look. Before that we started, I came across a video. A woman basically lamenting that, oh, I got to menopause and I divorced. I left the family. Oh, I wish I was back there. I wish I hadn't left in such a, in such a angry thing that suddenly came over me. Here's my point. Many men who have a wife or a partner in menopause, they've never been closer to a breakdown of the relationship than then. Right? Why is that? What do we do about that? Can we do anything about it? Of course, this is what we talk about all the time, Lisa. Literally, there's women who are walking away from relationships, whether it's confidence, whether it's empowerment, call it what you like. Well, maybe it's even unhappiness, right? You know, and how do they find joy? That's a question I think that's a question I would love us to ask and answer. Really,
Yeah.
so, let me speak every so often, guys. And when I speak, I go away again and hide away quietly.
Let me just give the mic to Jay. Jay, you wanted to finish off what you were saying before we move to that point?
Yeah, well, I want to credit you with something, and it's crazy because sometimes because of my job, I have to have my volume up very high, right? So I know things are what's happening, and I get alerts from work. Well, due to our discussions, the algorithm on a lot of my social media gives me stuff about perimenopause, including the funny stuff. And
Hmm.
I'm in a public space, and all of a sudden somebody's talking about having their period at age 56 because they're on hormones, and I'm like, ah, how do I take this thing down?
After
But because it's like, what's a guy doing?
Yeah.
Listening. But it. I just want to credit you with that. It may be funny a little bit, but really, I get all these. Now I'm getting all this like information
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
streams from influencers about perimenopause and menopause, and so I want to credit you with that. But going back um, to what Annie was saying, it, uh, partly because of your show and due to all those streams, right? I'm getting information about how to be supportive of somebody with mood swings.
Mhm.
I used to joke with Renee a lot, and call her my bipolar bear, um, because she swings.
Mhm.
Uh, her mood swings a lot, and I think that's part of It's understanding where she is, and talking with her about, having a sense of humor and knowing when not to have a sense of humor,
Yeah, yeah.
and back away. So those are some of the things that I do to make sure that she's happy, and even if she's not in a state of happiness, that I'm there to
Mhm.
support that. I think that's what I've learned a lot, just in the last few.
Thank you for saying that. And, that is what drives me to be here every other Tuesday, even when I'm feeling terrible and my back is hurting. Linda was talking about that passion and purpose. This is my passion and purpose, to bring that awareness, that education to places and to people who may not hear it as often. You know, I was looking at a video. A video actually came up on my feed today talking about the rates of divorce and suicide around this time. And
Mhm.
most of these studies, unfortunately, are just out of the UK and the US. We don't have enough information on Africa or Asia or even the Caribbean to know if it's the same, because we need actual data for policy to change, right? Saying that we observe it, you don't get policy changed like that, unfortunately. But what we're seeing is that divorce rates are highest during midlife. Suicidal rates are highest during midlife. To me, that's not surprising because that's also the time that you have your menopausal journey. So, and he was talking about the person leaving the marriage. So, there could be two things: finding yourself in an unsupportive relationship where
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense. Linda was talking about the abuse that you get. And to me, sometimes verbal and emotional abuse could be so much more because it attacks your inside. And if you're not feeling supported, it's like, okay, where do I turn for that support if I'm not getting it in my own home? So if you're not getting that support, many women, instead of continuously fighting, choose to leave. Then you have
Yes.
the other side where menopause and midlife brings a lot of clarity. That's one of the words Linda used at the beginning of the show, clarity.
Mhm.
So at that point, you find your voice, you
Mhm.
find, okay, this is not a relationship that I want to be in. This is not a situation I want to be in. This is not the work environment I want to be in. There's so much clarity that comes around this time that women choose to walk away. And yes, on paper or to her friends and family, it may look like the perfect relationship. But something in her knows, okay, this is not how I want to spend the second half of my life. So they choose to walk away. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I always say do what's right for you. But what what I want to make sure is that women and men understand what menopause is, what it entails, what women really go through, so that they can make a more informed choice. Understanding that women, there are over 100 symptoms you could experience during menopause, and most of my clients have 50, 60 symptoms at one time. I can't be walking around with 60 symptoms, feeling like total crap, and then talk about being intimate with someone when I don't want you to even touch me. It hurts, it physically hurts for you to touch me. How do we get around that? That's where getting coaching and outside support can be beneficial. And I think it is beneficial because you can be on the medication and it's not right for everyone. You can change your diet and that's not enough.
Mhm.
So, again, having these conversations, bringing guest speakers to talk about different things. So, maybe the message you hear it in a different voice and it clicks. This is the point of doing this show every other Tuesday. So that people can come in the comments, share, have a voice, have a safe space to learn information and take it back home and, really see if you can change and support each other in a better way.
That's very good, Lisa. Absolutely. I agree with that. There comes a time when clarity just becomes a bigger picture, and we learned from it. And then we're faced with a decision. Do I continue with this relationship because the situation was not good before I hit menopause? Now everything is clearer. Now I see all the things that he does that annoy me, and I see I'm not supported. Having that conversation with their spouse is very important. Um, I'm going to be vulnerable and say that I also had this conversation with my husband as well. I saw that I was not being supported. This was a new milestone in my life, in every woman's life. I didn't learn anything from my mother or sister. We come from a background where we didn't talk about these things. These were always gossiped about and talked about. And in fact, it wasn't talked about, it was taboo. And so now when I did hit perimenopause and when I began menopause, I got my information from, I got very little information from my doctor, in fact, because they're not knowledged. So I'm going to say that I went to the source that most people turn to nowadays, and that's, the internet, Google. I asked Mr. Google, what should I do? What am I feeling? What's going on? What can I do to manage it? And I finally am so grateful I met Lisa, and we were together for a while, and that was very, very rewarding. But we don't stop to ask ourselves, if the situation is bad at home, don't just give up immediately. I can't say to someone, yes, leave, or no, don't leave and stay. At least bring up the conversation and be open and express your needs and seek support. That's what I
That,
did. I'm being very open here. We had a
yeah.
rough patch not too long ago, a couple of years ago. Things were juicy, but I sought help. I did my research. I changed, and because I changed, he changed also. And we are both very uh, we both have, maybe that doesn't show here, but we both have very tough personalities, and we butt heads, and we both needed to be right because of our upbringing, because of what we experienced, not being seen, not being heard. And so this was a really big test for us. Are we going to survive menopause? And I laugh because it's
Yeah.
a funny example, but
Mm.
it's a
No.
major topic that needs to
Yeah.
be addressed, and
Like,
seek support, because you can go through it, you can survive it.
yeah.
And I have to say that because of the changes that I made, I can list some of them. I love to read, and I'm now journaling more. Summer is here, and so I'm doing more gardening. I just find the small glimmers that just make you happy, and that changes your whole mindset. And I remember months ago we talked about walking in nature. Um, that is so beneficial. You get the vitamin C, the sunlight, and you're alone with your thoughts. You can
mm,
be angry with yourself and no one hears it. You can't speak to your spouse. Okay, have that discussion in here. At least you're
mm,
letting it out. At least you're discussing. And then I come back refreshed. I come back having organized my thoughts, and that's so beneficial. And I do the same with the gardening. I'm weeding and trimming and doing all that necessary job, but I'm also talking to myself. And now that we have a new puppy, she listens. She's my therapist. And if you're interested later, I'll bring her up and show you. But find the small glimmers, because giving up is not an option.
mm.
Not an option. I don't want to say anymore, but please don't give up.
No,
Fight
yeah.
hard,
I
fight
might say
hard.
it's too easy to give up. You know, it's easy to throw a tantrum. You know, but I think look, there's many great comments. Do you want to speak, Paulette? You raised your hand earlier.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there is a place for humor here, and we don't always remember that humor is a great way of fixing a difficult situation. So in my brother and his wife's case, my sister-in-law she really went through it, and she's a really kind of like got it all together kind of person. She's a sort of CEO of a company. She's done very well. You know, she's always dressed in the most expensive suit. She's like the devil wears Prada to look at, and she's a really sort of genuinely nice person until you cross her. And I mentioned the crosser bit because that's when you know that she's got two sides. But the doctor prescribed some gel that you rub on your leg to help with the hormones, to help with her imbalance of her hormones, which is why she was kind of like a bit spiky. And so instead of being this kind of really kind of calm, got it all together person, she was a bit sort of like, yeah. And it got to the point where like everybody in the family would just say, Mum, did you put your gel on today? And like it became like the in joke, you know, like, and she'd get ratty about it, but laugh, you know. Yes, I put my bloody gel on. It's not bloody working, obviously, you know, like this kind of thing, you know. And then it would all go quiet, and then someone would say, "Well, do you think you could put a bit more on?" or something like that. And that would be enough. And then the humor comes out and the laughing, and then it's all okay again, right? And I think that when we have these spikes, we have to be able to smooth them out with a bit of sandpaper. And humor is a great way of doing that.
Mhm.
Another suggestion, personally, would be instead of talking it out at home, so instead of talking it out, you don't talk it out, you shout it out. You verbalize all the things you shouldn't have verbalized, but you did, right?
Mhm.
If you take that conversation somewhere public, like over a meal or like over a cup of coffee and a bit of cake or a walk in the park or whatever, it means that you are less likely to be as fiery, less likely to be as confrontational, and more likely to be on an even kind of like neutral territory.
Mhm.
And you give each other the opportunity to sort of yin and yang the conversation. And I think that that is a very calming way to handle these spikes, because they will happen. Because when your hormones are raging as a woman, um, the male hormones are still raging as a male. And so his testosterone levels are still spiking. He's still thinking that, you know, on a regular basis, he would quite like a quick romp. And the last thing on this planet is a quick romp. You'd rather, you know, smack him around the head with a wet cucumber than have a romp. And the answer is that, you know, it's like these things have to be discussed, right? You know, you might want a romp. Well, a romp's not on the card. So you go and have a shower and sort yourself out. I'll make dinner. That's the compromise, right?
Mhm.
You have to be as honest and as blunt as that, because really and truly he needs his needs met, she needs to make the dinner, right? When you both met each other, she's made the dinner, he's had a shower, you come back together, you're both calm, and now
Mhm.
you can watch telly together and be in peace. That place of harmony comes from being truthful and honest. And you know what? We might go, oh God, she's spoken that word again, or she's made that comment again. But what I'm saying is, we cannot hide from these conversations because they are as real as they can be. And when your hormones are raging through hot flushes and feeling miserable as sin and wanting to set fire to everything and just wanting just the whole world to just leave you alone. And all he wants to is go, hey, it's Friday night, It's like, it's the conflict is as far away as you can imagine. It needs discussion. Without discussion, you're going to end up having a feisty situation where he goes to bed grumpy because he didn't get what he wanted. She goes to grumpy because he's an unrespectful, disrespectful, unthinking, uncaring, whatever.
Mhm.
And you both got backs to back, and that's the relationship back to back now,
Yeah.
right? Whereas at least if you'd spoke it out, discussed it, dealt with it the way you do, you can at least face each other and give each other a good night kiss and say, good night. I do still love you, although I would have preferred, Friday night romps as opposed to hot showers or cold showers. But the point is, at least you can have a laugh about it, right? If you can't have that bit of humor, I think you really come unstuck. With me falling over all the time, the accidents, the constant putting Charles through hell, I don't know how he puts up with me. I mean, in fact, I often think I check on eBay to see if I'm up for sale, and I don't think he'd charge a lot. I think he'd go from a penny, wife for sale from a penny, bids from a penny. And I think he'd take a low offer. I do really. I do feel like I should check more often. But we joke and laugh about that. Am I going to be on eBay tomorrow? Because the last thing you want is I come home. I've just taken the dog for a walk. I've been out the house 10 minutes, and she's flat on her face. Can't be trusted for 10 minutes. That kind of thing. And like, what did you trip over this time? Oh, my stick. How did you trip over your own walking stick? Well, it was there and I forgot it was there. And then I went, and then I'm like lying there, like waiting for someone to come through the door. But these are the things, if you can't laugh about it, I'll go, where did that bruise come from? Where's that one? How did that get there? I want to ring them and like list the day it happened, and then I'll remember, because I don't remember. I'm covered. If I went to the police, they would honestly think I was a battered wife. I could get away with all kinds of stuff, not joking on that subject. But, the point is I'm black and blue on a daily basis. And it's nothing to do with my husband. It's all of my own making. But that is as difficult to deal with as all the other menopausal symptoms. People get frustrated when women can't put a sentence together. And there's nothing worse than when you're halfway through a sentence and you say completely the wrong word.
Mm.
So you go to the filing cupboard, right? And you know the word you want. And then the word is filament. And you decide to say flagrant or fragrance, and it's completely out of context, and you see this man's face go, and you know that I've done something, but I don't know what I've done, because I'm sure that I've put the right word in, right? Because in my head I put the right word in. And this fibromyalgia stuff, they call it, but it's no different to the menopause. It's exactly the same symptom, where the hormones are so messed up that you just misplace that one word, and it completely changes a conversation, right? And I think the fragrance in that lamp is gone. The what? You know? And you understand that when they're laughing at you, they're not laughing at you, they're laughing at what you said. And then when
Mhm.
you understand what you said, you can laugh too. But in that moment, you're like, why is he laughing at me? What have I said that's funny? And I think that we really have to stop being so feisty all the time and try and step back and work out what it is it about us that's winding each other up. What is it about us that's making us feel a certain kind of way? And when you do that, you're in a position to start actually communicating.
Yeah, and there's something I want to add to what you said, but I'm seeing a lot of comments coming and I don't want
Yeah,
to lose track.
yeah. There's great comments. I can see great
Yeah.
comments too. You know, I think what Paulette says, you know, it is about. I think it's about avoiding the acrimony. The acrimony is hatred of the other person over over things. That's what happens. That's the truth. The wife can become angry and hateful, and you think, what the hell? Over toothpaste, the toothpaste tube being squeezed in the wrong way. I'm saying that's not worth hating over. As Paulette's saying, we need to talk about these things and be more, a bit more understanding, a bit more less angry, less aggressive about these things, right? Sharon Rose, I see you. Welcome. Rob says he's a guy. He's a guy at the grocery store that will tell you that he likes your hat. I think referring to what Jay was saying about when you go to a grocery store, Jay, I think it's when you go downstairs that's a problem. You read there's a monster downstairs, and you think, bloody hell, what happened? That's what happened. Most men just want peace and quiet, really. I think as a man, that's what Jay wants. We just want peace, quiet. A smile will be nice. A meal will be nice. Otherwise, I do my own food, thanks. I just don't need the anger and the. I say the word's ending. The word's not ending. It's not. It's not. It's not that deep. So I say like the last time, joy is a decision. I became a widow and chose to find joy because my husband was a joyful person. That's it right there, right? That really. That's what we all say. That's what I'm saying. That's what Jay said. That's what Paulette's saying. That's what you're saying, Lisa. That's what I think you're saying too, Linda. We can choose to have joy in our lives, or we can choose to be deeply unhappy, and then it all goes pear shaped. Where am I going next? There's a comment I want to get to from Rob, which I think that's the one I really want to get to.
Yeah.
So Tanique, how you doing? Welcome. Says Stacey, I agree with you. As a Christian, learning about joy, it has become more apparent to me that's indeed a decision and how we choose to integrate joy in our lives. That's the truth of it. Josh says, we always learn a lot from Lisa. Of course, we always do. This is a comment I've been trying to get to. So Rob says, this wasn't on my radar until today. I just thought she was being a dick. I love that. That is so honest. That's exactly what most men think. They think, what the hell?
Yeah. So that is what I wanted to add to what Paulette was saying when she was describing her the wife that was Devil Wear Prada, all put together.
My sister-in-law, yeah.
Her sister, right. So, and that's the woman I work with a lot. They're in corporate life. They have it all together. They are leading teams. They're leading projects. They know everything about the job. Everybody depends on them because they know they have it all together. Here's the problem. One day they wake up and they don't feel like that anymore. They feel as if someone has taken them out of their put together self and placed them in another body, and nobody warns them about it. So they go to work. They probably can't remember how to get to work, because I've had clients like that. They can't remember how to get home. They're forgetting words, feeling disconnected, are sweating through their clothes. So they're about to make a presentation and they're all soaked and they don't have a change of clothes. So it's becoming embarrassing now. And I get home, I probably forgot to do the shopping, so there's nothing to eat. My children are expecting meals and helping with the homework, and I have to clean and I have to pack, all the things women have to do when they get home. And then, of course, the interaction with the husband, he's had a day at work and come home, but you're expecting your wife to be the same person you left this morning, and she's not. And when you go to the doctor saying, okay, I don't feel like myself, and you're describing everything to them, the blood tests come back as normal. Nothing is wrong with you. It's probably just stress. You're probably just depressed. Here are some pills. Of course, that doesn't solve the problem. And hearing your doctor saying everything is normal, nothing is wrong with you, you start literally thinking, I'm having dementia, I'm losing my mind, because now there's the anxiety. I haven't gotten the answers I wanted because I know something is wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
the doctor, the one who's supposed to tell me what's wrong, is telling me everything is okay. So, how do I explain to my husband and my children and my work colleagues what's going on if technically everything is okay? But I'm walking around with 50, 60 symptoms, and I was seeing a lot of comments about the different symptoms that you can experience. You know, the insomnia, the brain fog, the mood. So changes in blood sugar. So now I have diabetes, changes in blood pressure. I haven't changed my diet. I'm still exercising, but now I have cholesterol issues. I have heart palpitations, and all of this is going on at the same time. But my doctor is telling me everything is normal.
Mm-hmm.
How am I expected to function? How do I not come across as a dick or mean? Because everything is normal, but I know everything is not. The hormones are all over the place, so I literally don't have control over my feelings, my emotions. So when I get angry and I explode on the person, I literally don't have control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's easy to say, you know, when Annie says you just want to go downstairs and have peace. The woman literally does not have control over emotions. So at that point, it's not a choice. It's not that she's choosing to be angry, choosing to have mood swings, choosing to bite your head off over the toothpaste not being put back in the right spot. She literally has no control over it. And she's not getting the right support because now she doesn't have access to hormone replacement therapy. She doesn't have access to a coach because everybody's telling her everything is okay. So how does she know she's in menopause? How is she expected to know something is wrong when everybody's telling her it's okay? And that is the sort of foundation women find themselves in. And that is what leads to a breakdown of the marriage. Because the husband doesn't know what's going on. The wife doesn't understand what's going on with her. Nobody is saying menopause because the doctor is like, no, you're early in your 40s, too early for menopause. When we know now, most women start in their 30s. The doctors aren't educated, the system isn't training them properly, and women are supposed and expected to do everything she's supposed to do for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever her mental issues are, physical issues are, the joints pain, 1 minute you have diarrhea, next minute you have constipation, you know, all of those things, and we're expected to act as normal. This is why I come here every other Tuesday and talk about it. This is why I'm doing the newsletters. This is why I speak on different stages because women literally don't know they're in menopause. Many times their husbands are the ones that pick up, hey, something seems to be wrong. Let's go to the doctor. And then you have to be lucky to get a doctor who's trained in menopause that could recognize the symptoms. Right? So I know it's challenging for the partner to to be supportive when it feels like everything out of your mouth is going to be an argument. But this is why finding the right coach is important, finding the right doctor is important. Sometimes getting being put on medication is important. And I'm not saying that being put on antidepressive pills are a problem, but it should be for the right diagnosis. And a lot of times it's not. Right. So I can certainly understand when husbands come on the chat or they come to me and they say, listen, my wife is being XYZ and I don't know how to support her. Right. But this is where having the conversation, that communication that everybody's talked about is so important
Mm-hmm.
because even to recognize, okay, something is wrong with me. I've gone to one doctor. Maybe let's try another doctor. You know, even to just to have that and to have it supported and for the husband to say, okay, yeah, let me go with you to the next doctor's appointment and let's see if we could figure it out. Even that could make such a big difference. You know, so I'm just encouraging everyone listening on live or on the chat replay, have the conversation. Don't be afraid to have the conversation. If it's If you can't have it with your partner, then reach out, send me a DM, and let's have the conversation.
Can I just demonstrate something? Okay. If that is equilibrium, all right, so that this is a seesaw, okay, and that is the balance, okay, was that ever the case? Was that ever the case before menopause, really? Did you ever have a situation where the scales balanced completely? You never fell out, you never argued, you never disagreed, you never had any problems? No. If you're truthful and honest, nobody lives in a situation of complete balance. It's always a little bit that way or a little bit that way. This is how the scales work, right? When we're in menopause, it just means that we're spending a bit more time there than we were there, right? And it's just about understanding that hormone imbalance, especially the estrogen, and that's the one that everybody talks about, the estrogel, the estrogen, the estrogen injections, whatever you're taking. It seems to be the one that makes you a little bit angry, a little bit feisty, a little bit snappy, a little bit as if you've taken a pill that just makes you a little bit snarky. And the people around you are like, what happened to her? Right? Because you weren't like that. Well, no, you were always a little bit like that. You're just a bit more like it. And now they've noticed that like 20% increase. Yeah. I was always sarcastic. I've always been sarcastic. I was born sarcastic. I'm sure when I came out my mum's what's it, I was giving out sarcasm. So I think I've been sarcastic since the day I was born. But boy, did I go through a stage of being evil sarcastic, right? Like nothing went past me. If there was an opportunity, bang, I took it. And I didn't even know why I was trying to score the goals because I didn't care if the ball went in the net. I just had to kick the ball because it was an opportunity. And then it was only when someone said to me, you're really on one at the minute, aren't you? And I was like, am I?
Me?
Talking about me? No, I'm just being me. What are you talking about? And they're like, no. You're biting every opportunity you bite everyone. And I'm like, do I? Me? And I'm like, next time I do it, you show me, you know. And then the next time they showed me, I was like, no, I would always have done that, you know. I was in such denial because I'd had a hysterectomy in my 41. So for me, it just seemed like menopause, but you know what? I went through menopause for about 10 years. I just didn't know it. I was just like all the time spiking here and spiking there. And when you talk to me, you talk to like my brain, and my mind goes, oh yeah, I did do that. Oh yeah, I had a bit of that as well. And and it's not until somebody lists these 130 symptoms that we were told there were like 4 or 5, if somebody had told me to rub some bloody gel in my legs, they would have got such a mouthful. I would have stormed out, keys in hand, make your own damn supper. I'll see you tonight. I would have been that mad because telling me to rub gel in my legs, and you don't know what I'm going through, would have, but Deb being Deb, she's like, cool head. She's like, oh yeah, you think it's funny? I'll come back and talk to you in 40 years' time. So my nieces, who are now 26, she can't wait for like being around in 30 years' time when they're going through it. Because she's going to be like, yeah, here we go. Payback time, you know? And that's how she tells them. She's like, just do you remember? I haven't forgotten anything. I wrote everything down like Paulette told me to. It's all in a journal. I'll bring it out, and I just know she will, and it will be hilarious. But the point that I'm making is that you don't keep thinking that life was perfect pre-menopause, right? Let's be completely truthful here. Lifing is difficult. Lifing with a partner is difficult at the best of times. Adding menopause, it's like you're adding a horrible layer of difficult. That's what I see. And so for me, don't always just think that, oh, menopause screwed everything up and ruined my marriage. Menopause is just an extra layer that wasn't there before, that adds weight to that scales, that makes it a little bit harder to handle. Is that fair?
I
Yeah.
think I think so. You know, I don't. I no. Of course, no life is perfect.
Mhm.
That's the thing. But I guess no. Me and Jay will tell you because we were the men on stage. Life was just more peaceful. We had more peace. That's all. That's all we're asking for. We're not saying perfection. We're saying, you know, peaceful. There was more joy in our lives than when menopause came and suddenly the scales really tipped. Anyway, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Jay, you can speak for yourself, my
But what I would say is that many times before menopause, women didn't talk about whatever
friend.
was bothering them.
Mm,
So they let you continue with whatever you were doing that they probably hated.
mm. Yeah,
But again,
yeah.
just to keep that peace, because we're taught not to verbalize whatever's you're thinking, to stay quiet, to be a good wife or be good partner is to just stay and support the husband, not make any noise, not verbalize anything that you're going through. You're just there to support the household, support the man. But, as we've been saying, menopause, one, brings a lot of clarity. Two, we're kind of realizing, okay, I'm 40 something, 50 something. I kind of had enough of the BS. So, yeah, I had enough of you. So I prefer to leave and have my peace, your life or my life.
Mm. We lost you for a second or two there. So we lost.
Yeah, I was reconnecting. Jay, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just want to kind of go back to what Paulette was talking about and what Annie was talking about. Well, first, yes, I try to keep peace. I try to keep peace. And usually it's, the things that annoy her, I try to like squash all that, before she even gets to it. So uh, one of the things that I do is kind of it's funny, but it's also to keep peace. Is when she says my name or calls for me, I go yes, ma'am, and I do it. I do, I do it right away, and the kids are laughing and they're like, "What's wrong with Dad?" I'm like, "Look," and Renee asked me, "What's wrong with you? Why are you answering like that?" It's because I don't want to get on your bad side. And we laugh about it, but when she is serious,
Mm.
man, she's like, okay, go do what I say. And I do just because I'm not one to ruffle feathers, especially my wife's. You know, those feathers hurt when they're thrown at you.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, I want to just give you the end of Rosemary's, comment because there's bits that's missing. I don't know why Restream does this to us. So the bit that's missing is most are purely biological rather than personality. I think she means to say requires empathy, patience, and practical support to reduce stress daily. So indeed, you can't say that, of course.
Yeah, so most are biological. The issue is so hormone replacement therapy, because as Paulette was saying, estrogen is the main hormone that is decreasing, and estrogen is important for many of our biological functions. The issue is many of us, we don't have access to that hormone replacement therapy. We don't have access to the many different types. So I was talking to someone in the Caribbean. If we have vaginal estrogen or oral estrogen, we're lucky. There are about 20 different types. In the US, you can get it. Sometimes it's not available on insurance. So that's another issue that women have to face. But if I don't have access to the things I need, then how can I support myself? How can I rally those mood swings if I don't have the right medication for it? So, yes, lifestyle changes will help. And that's where I try to support women because many women, they're allergic to the medication. They can't go on it. Or they have heart issues or liver issues. They literally can't take the medication because it will put them in the hospital. So that's where the lifestyle changes come in. And that's where I try to help. But lifestyle changes can only do so much. So if I am not in a supportive environment where my partner will understand, okay, I can't go on the medication, I don't have access to it, or I can't afford it. Yes, I'm working with a coach or whatever, or I'm checking on the internet for solutions, but that could only take me so far. Okay, so how can I, as the partner, support my wife? And if, as Jay was saying, if just doing what she asks in the moment will keep the peace, maybe that's the solution. If stopping to have a conversation as to find out, okay, what's really going on, asking the wife, how can I support you? What do you need from me? Instead of assuming to know, because menopause is not just hot flashes. So it's not that she just needs more AC, right? It's a whole, like I said, it's 130 odd symptoms, right? So what do you need at this point? Do you need me to leave you alone? Do you need a hug? Whatever it is, let her direct what that support looks like. But I like one of the ideas, just taking a walk in nature. And I saw Joshua had a
Mm-hmm.
comment on that. She was inviting us to walk in nature with him. Just a walk in nature. One, sometimes by yourself to have that conversation, to figure out, okay, where's this anger coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And then go back. But of course, you have to have that awareness to know, okay, I need to have that conversation with myself. Not everyone has that. Sometimes you need to point it out to them. But then to come back in a calm manner and say, okay, we need to have a conversation.
Yes.
If the wife tells you, like, Jay was saying, the things that irritate her, well, she has to give you that information, right? But that means you'll need to sit as a couple and talk about it. And it may not be rational, the things that irritate her, because I've had clients tell me they're ready to divorce their husband because their toenail clippings were left wherever, or they're breathing too loud.
Mm.
Like it could be that bad. They're breathing too loudly. I'm ready to divorce him. I can't take that nasal noise he does. I'm done. It's over. If you're not working with someone that understands, okay, that's a menopause symptom, that's your hormones acting up, you need to step back, take a breath, and maybe do some other things to realize, okay, I really don't want to divorce my husband. Is the menopause doing that? If we don't have that coach working with us, then how do we know? Right? So again, when you leave these rooms,
Lisa,
please
you've said so many times, sorry to interrupt, but you've
just
said so many times, like if you don't have the facility to go for a walk, if you don't have the opportunity to take that breather, that break that you need,
yeah,
have a journal. And I use that with my sister in law. I just told her every day, just write whatever it is, the rage bait, whatever it is that's
yeah,
driving
do
you
that
mad,
brain dump.
put
Yeah,
it down on paper, get it out of your head, get it onto paper, then at least it's down there, right?
yeah,
And then it kind of feels like it's released a little bit. It's not gone, but there's a bit of a release. And then when you do have the conversation, the heat's just turned down a little bit.
yeah.
It's a conversation, not a row.
Yeah,
And
I had a
that's what,
client write it down and then burn it. Like she
Mm-hmm.
only felt that release when the paper physically burned and it was gone. So throwing it away didn't work for her. She had to it had to disappear completely for those emotions to release. So not everything works for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Working with a good coach can help you figure out if something doesn't work for you, that's okay. That means you need to find the thing that works for you. So give yourself that love and grace to find that thing that works for you. But working with a coach helps you and it makes the process easier, sometimes faster to figure out what works for you. Linda, you wanted to add something? Yeah, go ahead.
I do. Thank you. I agree with everyone that said their share. Jay, Paulette, Lisa, and Annie. I want to also add the layer of the woman who grew up or is probably in a difficult situation, a difficult marriage, relationship, where she has difficulty speaking up and sharing her needs. And so she's going through menopause and she's looking for help. And her role is to be the caretaker. And so she's looking after everyone, and she has for decades. And now she's in menopause, and she doesn't know how to ask for help. She doesn't know how to speak up with to her spouse and say, I need a break. I need you to help me make dinner some evenings because I'm overwhelmed. I'm hit with brain fog. I'm not sleeping. I'm waking up and I'm not rested. And so sometimes the we don't have the ability to speak up because of how we were raised. We were told not to complain. Our needs were never acknowledged. And so with my coaching, I also work on that level as well because some are in the menopausal age. They're in their 40s and 50s. And so, like you said, the menopause is another layer on top of the emotional experiences that they went through. So it's not always easy. And for myself, I didn't know what I needed because I was going through this and I was carrying all this emotional baggage. And so I sank. I hit a point where I left work and I stayed home because I just couldn't do it anymore. And I never went back. And that was one of the best decisions ever. I'm not telling anyone to quit their jobs. Please do not quote me. This is not this is my disclaimer. I'm sharing my piece. This is what I did. And I'm glad that I did because I was also working in a very toxic environment, which elevated everything else, the home life, me, my menopause, my lack of confidence for speaking up and not being heard. And so everything compounded, and I injured my foot because I was not looking after myself. And so I left. I stayed home, and that was Lisa. That was one of the best decisions ever. And so going back to the example of that woman who is not able to voice her needs. And so that's also another issue where we need to talk about it some more and say, we know that what you're carrying, it's okay to ask for help. You're not the caretaker in this moment. You're going through something. If your spouse cannot support you, okay, reach out for help. Ask a neighbor, a friend, reach out to the health experts, people, go online and talk to someone, but reach out for a coach who can help you. It's not always easy to speak up because we've experienced harsh consequences for fear of speaking up. And that's
Yeah.
another layer as well that we add to this discussion.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I say thank you too. Look, I think part of this, the point I take from what you say, Linda, is speaking up for yourself and just having the confidence to say what you need at the time. You see,
And being surrounded, yes, sorry, Annie, being surrounded with the safety
yes,
for
yes,
speaking up,
yes.
because that's also been taken away from us.
I think we all have a role to play in that sense. I say that as someone who does what I do. It's an amazing thing for me to realize, which I have done. Which I said, all of you here I've worked with, right? And the point is that I tend to work with maybe people around middle age and up who've created solutions in business, right? And I've had to learn. Sometimes my clients would just say, "Any, not today," and I can't cry about it. I had one earlier, so now I'm like, right, I got a room tomorrow. What's the topic? He's like, no, it's too much. I've got too much going on. I just can't do it. I'm like,
Mhm.
it's fine. It's no problem. I'm saying we have to be understanding as well, even in
Yeah.
business, especially. Especially if someone does speak up. We have to find a way to be understanding, and I want to say accommodate them, but flex to the people's needs.
Yeah.
Because no one gave us the power to be, you know, you must do what I say because no, that's just not on. And I think we all have a role to play in that sense. Yeah, I'll leave it there, Lisa. I give it to you.
Thanks.
There's many comments that we need to go through, Lisa. Many, many, many.
Okay, well, I wanted to get to just like a couple solutions to how do we
Okay.
find joy. But if you want to run through the comments really quickly,
Yeah, let's try our best. Otherwise, I feel like
yeah,
we've cheated our
yeah,
friends
because
who
we're already over time.
exactly. Tanique says most women don't come from background where perimenopause and menopause is talked about, especially by
Yep,
the older women in our lives. And the truth is because most people they just don't know. No, they don't know either.
yeah,
She
very true.
says, grateful for conversations like these. And Lisa is bringing the conversation to the fore.
Thank
She's
you.
doing that as well. Stacey says, which I'm sure we'll agree with.
Hmm.
Well, the change starts with you. It sounds harsh to say, but I think back to the point about we can choose how we respond to situations. I think. Shoot me if you want. I'm just a reader of the messages. I'm not even the messenger, right? I'm just saying. And Joe says it's a panel of truly learned wisdom and natural compassion, and so much more. That's all of you, right? What does Rob say? It's the biggest win for everyone in the last 7 days. The biggest win in the last biggest. Do you want to answer that?
I will leave that for the to the end.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
I see Coach Carrie's here as well. I'll come to you in a second. And not to mention the other ailments that impact menopause, like fibroids, ETC. Phew, that's so much. There's so much women go through. That's added
Yep.
to the list earlier that we saw, right?
Yeah.
Coach Carrie, welcome. Glad you're here. If you haven't been to Coach Carrie's shows, do go along, my friends. Connect with her. So, how do you find joy?
Hmm.
Awesome point. Hopefully, I think we shared quite a few ideas, starting with Jay's communication idea. And
Yeah.
if you haven't got all the ideas that we shared, then please watch the replay. Is what I'll say to you, all right? Watch the replay. It is there.
Yeah. I mean, look at that cute
Yay!
puppy that Linda has. I
Yes,
mean,
that's
just
it.
looking at
I saw
that
that one.
must bring joy.
Yay! See, I can do this.
Her name
Yay!
is Biscuit. Say hi, Biscuit. Oh, I
Biscuit.
love you. I love you already. I love you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's so cute.
Thank you.
I will say that I have, my wife was, there was a time when I used to walk the dogs. Then suddenly my wife decided she wants to be the dog whisperer. So she does the dogs and she walks them most days. No, most days, not I'm sure not every day, but she's more in love with the dogs than any of us humans in the house. So. But it's
But that
fine.
brings her joy. So
Yeah, I agree.
that's totally fine.
Yeah, there's no point me arguing. I'm all right, thanks. I've got other things to do anyway, right? Paulette,
Mm.
threatening men with wet cucumbers done.
Yeah, that analogy I just left that. See, let's just move on. Next comment.
Yes, you have men seriously scared about you saying that, Paulette. So honestly,
No,
I
no,
hope you
no, no,
know.
no. Let me explain,
No, no,
okay?
no. We don't need an
No
I
need,
explanation.
need
no
to, I
need,
We
need
really
no
to
need,
don't.
explain.
no need.
We have a salad drawer, okay? And in our salad drawer, there is always a soggy wet cucumber at the bottom that got forgotten,
Okay.
right? So the worst thing in the house that you could possibly get hit round the head with is a soggy wet cucumber. It's
Okay.
the truth. They're like that's
I
where like
agree. Mm,
cucumbers go to die at the
yeah,
bottom of the salad drawer, right? So if
Yes.
you misbehave, you get the wet cucumber.
All
it's
right.
moldy, it's horrid.
Not a metaphor. Not a
No,
metaphor.
no, I don't take it as a metaphor, but
No,
it's like,
it's a cucumber that's rotten,
yeah, okay,
and that's worse
okay,
than anything we can think of.
yes.
Look, Rosemary says, Linda, menopause plus dealing with a narcissistic spouse is a whole other ball of wax. That's another analogy, right? Currently being there for a friend who's dealing with this, at least try my best. that she's in therapy for the latter. I guess we're looking at for the narcissistic abuse. So as Linda said, I don't think we know. So these situations have to be resolved somehow, right? I think we have to face them and tackle them, whatever that means. With the different things for different people. Some leave, some stay, some address the issue. But I think there is a point though. What I've learned from Dr. Yvonne from our narcissistic behaviors room is the last thing the narcissist wants you to do is leave and find happiness, right? So there comes a time when you say, you know what, your BS, I'm going to carry on. I think that there comes a time when you can really face them and say, that's not going to carry on anymore. And yes, it might shock them, but many will see the need to change their behavior. I think it's finding the confidence that you talked about earlier, Linda, to say enough of that. No, this is not working for me, and it's not going to work for you either if you carry on like this. End of. And hopefully, so many people find peace after that. They find the happiness. They find a way to carry on. Some just find a way to break up and be done with it, right? So Dr. Marcia says, experience often teaches wisdom, but not wit. As Paulette was saying earlier, humor is very, very important, right? So Marcia says, very impactful discussion. We agree. Mr. Rochelle, welcome, Bill. If you haven't been to Bill's wind down rooms, we're saying this almost every night. Bill does it 10 p.m. Eastern at time.
Yes, I'm going to be on Bill's show very soon as well. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Yes. So Dr. Marcia says, menopause can make your emotions function negatively outside of your body. By the time you catch up with your emotions, your body's too tired to keep up. I like that.
That is so true, and that is what I was talking about. So imagine a woman is going through that, and then you're coming to talk about being intimate. She's not in that headspace to even feel confident and sexy and loved in herself to even know how to respond to that.
Wet
right?
cucumber. That's the answer.
Oh my God. See, Dan, that is what's going to stick in my head now. But, this is why we have the conversations, and there are so many great coaches on LinkedIn. So if you're going through and you need that sort of support, you have myself, you have Linda. Paulette is always there to support. No, she's not here to support us anymore. Okay, no problem.
Who's Simon Salt?
She can guide you to who to support.
Simon I showed the other. Simon Salt the other. We had him on our show anyway. He talks to men, right? He talks to men part.
Oh yes, Simon is an
Don't come
advocate.
to me and Jay. Don't come to me and Jay. We just want peace and quiet. We're fine. If you want to advise, go to the ladies or go to Simon. I can connect you quite easily. Dr. Marcia says, I've lost myself now. What happened? All right, let's try again. So this is Rosemary talking to Dr. Marcia. Thanks for sharing. Know many who are dealing with the situation. Dr. Marcia then says, most that's why I say menopausal women are not to go to GPs. They have to go to menopause dietitians like Lisa. Yeah, we agree.
Yeah, and to go to a GP is your first point. But if it's something specific you're going through, the GP is supposed to direct you to the next stage. Most times we need a referral letter for insurance purposes. But your GP isn't trained in menopause. Right? That literally says general practitioner. They know a little bit about everything. So they're the first point to maybe do those blood tests, but they're supposed to send you on to at least a gynecologist. Right? They're specified in women's health issues. Yeah.
Just to respond to that comment that Rob's just said, there's something that I remember from one of my training years ago, and that was talk to your partner how you would like to be spoken to.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you're feeling emotional and anger and everything else, you just need to ask for a timeout? Can we come back to the conversation
Mhm.
and we'll address it when the heat's out of the kitchen? And then the alternative is to then sit down at an appropriate moment and then say, look, but in the kindest way you can, as if you're talking to your best friend or you're talking to the person that you want to speak to you like. So if you speak to somebody in an angry, vicious, vindictive, nasty tone, guess what you're going to get back?
Mhm.
You're going to get that
Exactly the
same,
same. Mm.
the same. So if you try to come at it from a let's try and fix this perspective, how I know I'm difficult to live with right now, I understand all that, however you're not helping because of this and this. If we can talk about it, this and this, there's always got to be, as the yin and the yang, the balance, that scales that I talk about. I was going to call them the Tish scales because I know I'm not allowed to swear on your show, but the word, the Tish, back to front, Tish, the scales, that's what life's about. We live on those scales, and when we live on those scales, it's all about working out sometimes you feel like we're on a boat. 1 minute we're this way, then we're that way, then we're this way. Relationships can be like that.
Yeah.
We have weeks and months of absolute, heavy seas, really horrible heavy seas. And then all of a sudden we hit a calm patch and you're like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? When's it going to happen? And then it doesn't happen. And you're like, you've worked through it. And you come out the other side and you go, hey, we got peace again, And I think that is recognizing those moments for what they are. They really are a win. And you should chalk them up as a win, you know and I think that's something we don't do enough, especially women. We don't chalk up our wins. We
Yeah.
don't go, we battled that and we won. We came out the other side and we're okay. We might have a few scars, a few battle scars, but we came out okay. And guess what? We still love each other, and we're still
Mhm.
together, and we're going to go again, right? And you might have the same situation in a year's time, but if you love each other, you'll work through it. And I think that's what we've always done. We've always decided that no matter what, breaking up is not the option. It's fixing it is the option. And I think that is coming at it from a completely different perspective. We don't want to be on our own. We want to be together, and we just have to find the way that makes it work.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's a
I
different
think that
perspective.
I don't think it's a different perspective necessarily, Paul. I think it's that. I think it goes back to the choice thing we talked about earlier. If you want to find joy, you have to choose to find joy. But I guess look, I agree with you 100%. It's a decision that we make together, whether we're gonna break up or whether we're gonna ride this storm, because it is a storm, as you say. It will pass. And look, I told my wife the other day. I said to her, look, one day I had to grow up, and I grew up literally overnight. I realized the folly of my ways. And much like Rob's saying, literally, and most men will eventually realize one day. Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes, it's early, right? It's just saying our sons apparently are nicer men than the rest of us. I'm like, whatever, we'll take it. So I think it's making that choice to not be, say, vindictive, not to be hurtful, not to be destructive for the sake of it, not to be just, as going back to Rob's comment earlier. We're in this together. We're not going to break up. So let's find. I've got to find a way to bring my best self, a way that helps all of us stay together. It's all you can do is hope that by tomorrow morning she feels better, and she also agrees that we need to find that she needs to bring her nicer self, her best self. And that's the only way we stay together. I think that's where the joy comes in, really.
Yeah,
That's
and
my
I think it goes to one, having the conversation with your partner, but also having that honest conversation with yourself. and asking yourself, okay, is this the person I want to spend the rest of my life with? Of course, don't have that conversation when you're going through your mood swings. You're not going to have an honest conversation with yourself, right? So you have to wait when you're calm, maybe when you're alone, maybe when you're going to walk the dog, take a
Mm-hmm.
walk in nature, be at your calmest self and ask yourself these real questions and be honest. Is this the person you want to spend the rest of your life with? If the answer is yes, then there must be a way for you to communicate with that person to figure out, okay, when I'm having my mood swings, maybe stay far away from me. I worked with a couple of clients where I gave them a code word. So she would send the code word to them when it means stay far away from her. I had a shit day at work. I'm coming in hot. I'm going straight to my bedroom. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. And because she used that code word, they were able to, be quiet and stay away. But she used that time to decompress, and because she had that awareness, I'm getting space. So you're going to use that space to calm down, and then I come back and have the conversation. Have the honest conversation with yourself. Do I really want to be with this person? And if I'm choosing joy, as we're all saying, because it is a choice, it is a decision,
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to go about that? Does it make sense attacking my husband every time? If the answer is no, because I want to stay with that person and I'm choosing joy and I'm choosing peace, then I have to find alternatives. Jay, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, it, I was a cat owner at one point in my life, and cats, I'm going to say, have the disposition. Um, and there's a funny meme that went around a couple of years ago, and it's the one I tell Renee to use a lot. It's the yes, come hold me with your eyes. You know, don't don't actually do what I'm saying at this moment because I don't know what it is I want at the moment. And so just having the conversation, and it was actually after one of your shows that I said, should I in this moment have this discussion? Um, and sometimes, just to be honest, I will have the show on my phone, listening to it with her in the room, with her in the room, um, because I don't want to push stuff on her, but at the same time, I'd like for her to hear some of these things. So sometimes I'll even send her the stuff I send you, the funny menopause, symptoms that women go through. And so it actually broke the ice. And she's more mindful of things. And she shares a lot more than she used to. She says at one point it was uh, taking the hormones, right? Replacement was causing other health issues. And she said, I just want to stop all of this. I just want to I just want to just get on with this or get past this. And there was a lot of, you know, I guess annoyance and friction. And so I just that's the other thing. And when you're on the other side, mindfulness doesn't go away. You also have to be mindful of the moment, the issues, the things that are going on, and know when to be, comedic, like Paulette was saying, or know when to be just a little assertive, and then so that she knows that she's not um, being very sociable, so to say, and then also having just that wherewithal as well. You're uh, they're going through a tough time sometimes, and sometimes they're on a high, and they're enjoying that moment, and you're nowhere to be found. So these are the things to be supportive, be mindful, try to also kind of nudge, don't push. I think these are the things that I've been dealing with on this end to try to make sure that, there is that peace that Eddie keeps talking about. If I keep pushing peace, it's like, I'll give you your peace. So, I'm mindful of that as well. You know what I mean? So
I like that question that you brought up. Should I talk about this right now? Is this the right time to talk about it? I think that's a question that we need to ask ourselves more, especially when the woman is, a lot of times we think, okay, we should talk about this now because it's important to us now. But if your partner just walks through the door and he's had a hard day, he's not going to hear the message the way you intended. He's not going to respond in the way you intend. He's not going to understand or support you in the way you wanted. So always asking yourself, okay, is this the right time? Maybe dedicating a time where Sunday after lunch, we will discuss things that are bothering us. Because the relationship is important, as we both decided divorce is not an option that we want to go through right now. Let's have the conversation. So the same way you schedule your meetings and your doctor's appointment, schedule a time to have the conversations because the communication is important. That's the only way I will know that certain quirks you have piss me off right now. And because the medication makes me sick, I can't be on that medication. Sometimes it takes 3 months for the medication to start working. And while I'm going through those 3 months, I'm having diarrhea, I'm throwing up, I'm having migraines, to wait until it works. While I'm going through all of that, I'm not interested in being intimate with you right now. Right? And we need to face those realities and give her that space where if I'm feeling to throw up, I'm not gonna want you to touch me, I can't find joy in this moment. But your partner only knows that if you have that conversation. They can't guess it. They can't look at your face and figure it out. Okay, so I really appreciate what you shared there. Oh, I'm just seeing the comment on these. Married for better or worse, yeah. And menopause a lot of times is the the worst. But again, is if you choose to be with that person,
Yeah.
you find ways around it, or you find support on the outside, a third party that could help.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to say something, Paulette. Dr. Marcia does make a few points, so I want to show her next few posts. So the woman who speaks with a menopause dietitian or coach about women, or other women about his observation and concern is a keeper. I like that. Communicating, talking, learning more is always a good thing. Now, I wonder what you on stage think about this. It says, however, couples were more inclined to stay together before knowledge exploded. In other words, before the internet. Is that now? What do you think? Is this go on, Paulette? Now, is the internet making people split up quicker?
Oh, yeah. But that's because Dr. Google has become the go-to, and the go-to is if you're not happy, get divorced.
It's not just
If
Google,
you're
it's
not
social media
happy,
too,
find
right?
someone else.
Social
Plenty
media
more
too.
fish in the sea, right?
Social
Plenty more
media,
fish in the sea, right?
happiness.
Social media off to TikTok, you go find yourself another one, The point is, if we take it as flippantly as that, that is what we're talking about, is flippant. We're not taking the vows of marriage or the vows that we thought we were taking. Now, if we thought we were marrying Prince Charming and he turns out to be a narcissistic pig, then quite frankly, you're not going to change him. That narcissistic pig needs kicking to the curb, and we go back to Tiki Toki, we find a new one. But
Yes.
in the meantime,
Yes.
if you found the good one, but it needs work, put the work in. And don't be frightened to put the work in, because nobody will tell you that marriage is easy. And if they do, they're lying. And no, I mean, I've worked with some really strange divorce coaches, who are looking at the money. They're not looking at the relationship. They're looking at, well, this is the total sum of money that's going to be divvied up, how often the kids are going to get seen, da 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 da. And it's like, what happened to the people in this? You know, where does the people come in? Well, who are you? What have you got to do with it? Well, I'm the people person. I'm the one that's trying to keep them together, you know? And all you're doing is sitting there divvying up what the percentage is going to be you're going to earn. You know, how about you get your bloody nose out of it and leave me to it for a bit, and we'll come and talk to you if we can't sort it out. And then when you sit down with the couple and you say, so is it actually what you really want is to be separate and live your life separately, and you have your kids twice a week and you see your kids this and you don't get to do this and you don't get to do that, and you only go to the occasional shows and you only get to go to some parents evenings, and you're breaking up your whole family unit because of lack of communication. Now,
Yeah,
as I
but
said, if he gives her a thump or is an a-hole or is a whatever, kick him to the curb 100%. I'll be the one with my stiletto up his bum. But the point is, if you've got a decent one that just needs some knocking into shape, then put the effort in, and he'll probably turn around and say, I've got a decent one who just needs some rough edges rolling, sorting out. And you just got to find your jigsaw piece, the way that you can become harmonious together, because it's not easy. Marriage isn't easy. Committing to one person for life is not easy. Just because penguins do it and dolphins do it doesn't mean that humans can do it. We
yeah,
take a lot more work, and the internet is not helping, because it's saying, hey guys, there's a whole shop load of them over here, and these have got bigger boobs and they're 20 years younger, and blah blah blah. And guess what, they're not got a menopause right now. Hey, Friday night romps are all on again. And so if you're of that nature in your mind to go shopping in tiki toki for the replacement, then you were never committed to the marriage. Because when you're committed, you go, okay, sleeves up. What do we need to do? How do we work at this? How do we pull this together to make it work?
I just
And
wanted to add though, before the internet, the flip side to that is that women were taught to stay in the marriage no matter what.
I don't agree with that either. I don't. 100% I don't. I think that women have got to have a voice, and women have always had to have a voice, and that was taken away from them. That wasn't even
Well, I
available to them.
maybe in the UK, but in the Caribbean, we are taught stay in the marriage no matter what. Once you commit to that and you make those vows, because you,
Even if they're nasty.
even if they're nasty, because you had situations where domestic violence situations, and you go to the police and they tell you go back to your husband, because we are taught stay. Once you commit to someone, is that better or worse? This is just the worst part, right? So I think we need to. It depends on where
So
you are in the world.
culture comes into it for sure.
Yeah,
Okay, I accept culture comes
and
into
with
it.
the internet,
The Indian world is very much the
yeah,
same. And certainly in the Sikh community, it's very much the same. Um, but that doesn't see. I'm on the page of whatever we were taught and whatever our nature is and whatever. You're evolving, okay? The Caribbean is evolving. You're
and the
getting
internet
more
has a lot to do with
involved.
that evolving. Have hearing different voices, hearing
Yeah,
different women talk about it.
yeah,
So that's the internet. There's a good thing about it, and there's
yeah.
a bad thing about it. So whereas for some people it's encouraging divorce, for many others it's encouraging the awareness, the standing up for yourself, speaking for yourself, making more decisions for yourself. So
Well, you're on the internet, Lisa, and we're all learning from you. And the people in your country are watching you and learning from you. You're a woman of whatever it was. What were you? A woman of amazing whatever. You're a god in, in
Talent,
Trinidad.
beauty, intelligence, all
Talent,
those things,
beauty,
right?
intelligence, all those things.
No, I know what you're talking about, but
Basically,
okay.
you're a demigod, and we understand that, right?
I
But
appreciate the
but
sentiments, but
no, it's true, and you are. And the point is this: we all look up to you because you have got that standing. But the point is, other women are watching you and going, Lisa said it's okay to listen to other people's perspectives.
yeah,
Lisa says it's okay to do this, this, and this. That is opening the door for opportunities for women in abusive relationships to get out,
yeah,
right? And so I don't think that's a bad thing. God never intended anyone to have the crap beaten out of them, right? No,
yeah,
no, he didn't. And that would be, the Bible would say, he who casts the first stone or whatever. I think that we would need to understand that you do not have to stay together through for violence, abuse, whether it's physical, sexual,
yeah,
coercive, whatever kind of abuse it is, controlling, all of these vile things that happen. Um, and so when we see someone like Linda, who's come through that and gone, to hell with that, I'm not having that. It's not ruining my life. I'm not carrying that weight on my back for life. I'm leaving that rucksack behind and I'm moving forward. That's when you see development and growth.
yeah,
And what we're talking about in Trinidad is saying, okay, it might be that the rules are, or the expectation is that we stay together for life. However, this internet thing says that there's a choice. This
yeah,
internet thing says we don't have to put up with it. And so maybe that internet might actually create a change in behavior.
yeah,
Maybe the a-holes will realize that women will leave them, and then they do change, because otherwise, if they don't change, they lose their families. And also, I would imagine, and I'm not sure, but I don't know exactly, but I would imagine that the mother of the son that's that ill-behaved, horrible person that's turned into this violent, abusive husband will be, ostracized from the family, because that's not somebody they're going to want.
I think that it will need to be a different conversation because you would be surprised.
It really would.
But
As Linda, I'm wondering like, whether you want to say anything because I can see you. Then I watch
yeah,
everyone.
and we are very much over time, so I would
We
like
are.
this to
We
be,
need to
yeah.
go.
What's
So yeah,
new?
yes, we always try.
Go,
Ah,
Linda.
go,
Please feel
Ninja.
free.
Sorry, I missed that. My puppy is doing something to my foot. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Is there anything you want to add in terms of whether the internet
Oh
is
gosh.
speeding up
My close.
people's? Go,
Thank
please.
you. My closing message is self-care at this point is part of the recovery. It's part of the journey. Uh, for everyone, for someone who has the confidence, for someone who grew up in a difficult childhood, who is going through a difficult relationship, uh, all women, please find the small glimmers that bring you joy, because that will help to alleviate the stress, the emotions, the menopausal symptoms. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a large, big, loud moment. It's something small, and you build from that and find the small glimmers. And what I did is I convinced my family to get another puppy, because I after our puppy passed away last summer, it affected me deeply, more deeply than I thought it would, because I grew very attached to her. And I was the mama, and she came to me. She was my shadow, and I really felt her loss strongly. And now she's brought joy back into my life. And I don't say this lightly. I really feel strongly emotionally attached to my puppy. She's my little girl, and we do everything together. She follows me everywhere. And find the little things that bring you joy, and it has to be a non negotiable. Uh, Bring it up into a discussion with your spouse, even if it's not received favorably. Tell yourself, when he's at work, I will do this. When he goes out with his buddies, if he goes out with his buddies, I will focus on me and I will rest. I will watch a calming TV show. I will listen to some music. I will paint. I will bake if that's what your joy is in the kitchen. Find that small moment to bring self care back into your life. Thank
Write
you.
that book. Write that book too while you're there, right? I'm
Yes,
just saying.
please.
I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Write
I
that book.
saw
Yeah.
Christy left a comment earlier that she found joy through her healing work.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's, you know, you can find joy in so many strange and interesting places. Maybe explore a new hobby. I'm seeing knitting and crocheting coming back as the
Mhm.
in thing now, and it's so interesting. Like, you know, why I did that when I was so young with my grandmother, and now it's a whole thing, it's a movement. You
Yeah.
know, so you can find joy in the craziest of places, but give yourself that time and that space to explore and be curious. And if you try one thing and you're not feeling it, that's okay. You know, try something else until you find something that gives you those glimmers, as Linda said. I like that word, glimmers.
No, look, that's a huge one, Lisa, because a lot of people, I guess, I've come to appreciate that we have to live. We have to live our quirks, and we're all quirk in our own little ways, right? I think so
Yeah.
my wife's quirks is I'm sure I've told you all before. I haven't shown you. Is the mannequins? Is the voodoo dolls? Is the witch dead baby dolls? That I'll show you one day.
Oh,
It's not as
don't
grim as
say
that.
that baby doll. Say Halloween.
Yeah,
Halloween.
all of that. But it's not Halloween. Like, in case you haven't noticed, it's kind of June. But this thing's she buys these things all year round, and the house is full of this stuff at the front as well. And we're just like, whatever. You entertain yourself.
Whatever brings her joy, if
Yeah,
that
you
brings her
thrill
joy.
yourself. If that's what gives you
Yeah,
joy, you go for it. So even when my kids, when my son tries to be like, "Mom, why you bought that?" I'm like, leave her be. It's what makes her. It's what
yeah,
she likes. So why try and spoil it? It doesn't upset
yeah,
us really. It doesn't affect us. But I think finding your joy, the things that really give you that make you happy, and doing those, I think that's most of the answer. I would say, look, if you, so give me a chance to get couple of a minute or so. The thing I would say to everyone is the world is willing to meet your needs, your wants, if only you tell the world what that is. Be big enough to tell the world, here's what I want, here's what I need, here's what I, and I think many men will accommodate, will bend over backwards to give you what you want for that peace I keep talking about. But literally, saying, could I imagine myself cooking for myself 10 years ago? Of course not. Doing the washing up? No, of course not. Cleaning this and doing that? No. I'm saying, but only what now I know gives my wife joy, not to have to do those things herself. I'll happily do all those things. Even before she gets home, Jay, even before she even asks me to do, I say, just tell us, we'll do it. Be brave enough to tell the world what you really need, and the world will accommodate you.
I think that's a very nice way to end. Tell the world what you need. I think that's really great. And I've noticed I've frozen on the screen, so I think
It's time to go, right?
yeah, because my computer is doing something very weird.
Let's give Jay and Paulette a chance if they want to say, they
Yes,
don't leave us a last message. Please feel free.
yes, a very quick message before I get kicked out.
Quick message. You're right. As another islander, just on the other side, the other pond, it's the same thing. We culturally I looked at my mom, and she, gosh, they don't make them like they used to, right? She was the strongest person I knew, especially to put up with my dad for so many years. Um, yeah, really. And so but there is that change that's happening right now. There's more people are not they're not getting married. They are just not getting married just because of the things that people go through. You know, they're not willing to put up with drama or trauma or any of those things. And the threshold of those issues has, gone sky high when really it's nothing but a minuscule issue. And he was talking about the toothpaste, right? Um, the thing that irritated Renee, I was a bachelor for so many years, so I would always leave the toilet seat up, and she would get upset. And one day, she fell in the toilet because the seat.
Sorry, Jay. Sorry.
Right? No, don't be. I laugh at it now. Not then though. She tore me up, and she punches like a guy. Just let me say that up front. So
I'm beginning to love Renee.
right, but that's her, and so, but I think that over time you learn. I mean, we would have arguments. We would get upset. Um, we always told each other in the very beginning, though, we can't go to sleep upset at each other. So we'd have to kind of talk it out because we made that commitment to do that. And that's what it is. It's a commitment. And when you do that, you can't just I hate this. I'm going to leave because you kept the toilet seat up one time and I fell in. But that, I think that's it. It's a commitment. And I think it's also a commitment to yourself. If you really want to grow and learn, you got to do it with somebody else because they'll help teach you to become something more than what you were before the relationship. So I'll end with that.
Look, just for the record, Jay, I'm 2 weeks into learning to put the toilet seat down. 2 weeks. So I started 2 weeks ago when I came back from Margate, Paulette, as I put the toilet seat down. She's like, "You put the toilet seat down?" I'm like, "It's not that big. It's not a big deal." "What do you mean it's a toilet seat?" But obviously, to many women, that's a big thing. I don't know what
Put
it
it
is.
down,
I don't know
especially
what it
if
is.
the woman is in menopause. Many times we are rushing to the washroom, right? The ability to hold things without the door. You literally have to schedule your outings to find where public restrooms are along the way because you can't hold things anymore, right? And the medication to stop that is very, very expensive. It's not worth it. So if the little thing so that I don't fall in the toilet bowl is to put the seat down so that when I'm rushing through, and when you reach home, that's when it comes in. You're good until you reach home. And when you step out the door and you reach to the front door, is when it's right. So please keep the seat down for your partner,
Yes.
right? To save any accidents. Okay. Please.
I'm doing better every day, is what I
I'm
say to
making a plea for all women worldwide. Put the seat down.
myself. Paulette, what say you? What do you want to leave
I've
us with
got
today?
two final thoughts. The first one is tolerance. I think the word of the day is tolerance, and it's what are we prepared to tolerate and how are we prepared to tolerate it. And then that's the communication is the answer to the tolerating, right? So you tolerate, then you communicate, you work out what you're prepared to cope with or not cope with, and you move forward. When you talk about joy, I think take the expectation down, right? We're not about to be taken out on wined and dined and helicopter trips to Paris on a Friday night. You know, it might be a Chinese takeaway, but you know what? That's your moment. That's your moment. That's your joy, right? Take out this huge expectation of being, whisked off to some retreat at the weekend, when money's tight. It ain't gonna happen, right? But if you get the chance to go to the pub and have a cup of tea, a glass of wine, and a chat, then that is your joy. I think find joy in the smaller things, and then life is much nicer. If you're looking for just the big magnificent gestures, the huge bouquets of flowers, the magnanimous jewelry, getting down on one knee moments every weekend, ain't gonna happen. So get real. Stop watching too much of that real wives of wherever, and get back to the real life. The real world, because that's the truth of it. There's a real world and there's a fake world, and we live in the real world where we find joy in the smaller things, and then that doesn't mean to diminish joy, but to just be realistic.
Yeah, I think maybe it's being honest with ourselves, like we started off at the beginning as well.
And I think
Yeah.
appreciating when our partner does something small for us,
Yes.
like that thing of just leaving this, remembering to put his seat down. It may not be a big deal to you, but to her is like you considered her, you considered
Yeah.
her feelings, you remembered her in that moment. So for the woman, it means
Okay.
yes, Shay. Hey, I did Krav Maga, so I'm all for those things. Okay, I'm not using wet cucumbers at that point, right?
It's great that Lisa keeps people married. I like that. Someone said that earlier, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, you.
If you put the time to come together in that union, yeah, I think you should do everything in your power to stay in that union. If that's the person you want to be committed to, I think it's worth it. But I want to thank, I'm seeing Margaret here. Hi, Margaret. Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Want to thank everyone for being here, for engaging in the chat. Those watching on replay, please let us know your thoughts, your comments, what works for you. Linda, thank you so much for just being vulnerable and authentic. I'm sorry my video has frozen so you wouldn't see me, but yeah, I really, really appreciate your journey and sharing so much with us. Keep going. I'm looking forward to you having your own LinkedIn lives about these things. Your book, I see great things because I think you've found your passion and purpose. I really believe this is what you've meant to be doing. And it meant that you had to have your own journey to get here, for better or worse, right? So I'm really appreciative that you've been on the show. Please leave your link in the comments on LinkedIn. Don't put it on Restream. If you have anything to offer, whatever you want to offer, put it in the comments so that we could receive it. No, sorry, I just saw a comment pop up. Thank you again, Jay, for coming on stage and sharing with us. I've
Thank you,
missed you,
Jay.
brother.
Thank you. You're a
Yes,
lifesaver. I would have
yes.
struggled otherwise. I promise you.
because you struggle so much usually, right? Please.
I don't say much. Jay gave me a license to speak and say what I really think after
You
a
would
while.
swear we ban him from speaking, huh? Sure. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. Join us again in the next 2 weeks for another exciting and engaging conversation about some topic dealing with menopause. You all have a good night.
Thank
Take
you.
care,
Thank you
everybody.
so much, everyone. Linda, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
genius with us as well. We appreciate you. So, where am I? Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Every single photo is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.